It's Dr. Sarah Larsen in the house. We have Greg Larsen, and we call him Baby. We're covering A Course in Miracles with Greg Roach as well. I'm Dr. Sarah Larsen, and I'm so excited because Lesson 20 is I am determined to see. And Greg Roach, if we'll chime in, I'll read a little bit more about this lesson after you chime in on what this brought up for you.
Well, for me, this was so hopeful. This pack of lessons that we've been in from 15 up until now were maybe some of the most difficult so far because they are so confounding. And then there was one of them, I don't remember now, I think it was 17, where I just had to go, I don't get it. I just don't understand. And so the hope in this lesson is the acknowledgement that if you set your determination, the outcome is assured, And so to me, that was like, oh, thank God, But speaking of God, I really rebelled at one of the points further on in this lesson where they became very sort of Christian, very grounded in kind of traditional Christianity, the idea that God has one Son, and He is the salvation of the world. And for me, and I know for other people as well, this is something that I've discussed with a lot of people, I want to rebel when I hear that kind of terminology. And so I remind myself when I hit those sticking points with the Course that I reconstitute them. And so for me, I flip that around and I make that about the template of the cosmic Christ as it exists and resides within the heart of each of us. And so that's how I personally choose to interpret that one line in this lesson.
And thank you, because I feel the same way. And it occurs where it says God has one Son and He is the resurrection and the life. And so wherever I see a mention of that, I see the word possibility. I really substitute God has one possibility, and possibility is the resurrection and the life. Meaning, for me, when I read that, I see words as pointers, and I really see pointers, that word Son, to really mean something that gives and gives and gives all the time. And when I saw gives and gives, the only thing that gives to us all the time is expansion, and expansion being seen as possibility. If we're stuck or fear we're trapped, and I really think this this languaging comes up because we're a little bit not able to utilize other pointers. And the person interpreting what was shared had this as their best pointer at the time. And so it really comes and makes beautiful this lesson. It brings it full circle, which says, I am determined to see. By changing the pointer, by changing the word Son, it really into the word possibility, it allowed me to see. And this lesson is really, we have been quite casual, it says, about our practice periods thus far. There has been virtually no attempt to direct the time for undertaking them. Minimal effort has been required, and not even active cooperation and interest have been asked. This approach has been intentional and very carefully planned. We have not lost sight of the crucial importance of the reversal of your thinking. The salvation of the world depends on it, yet you will not see if you regard yourself as being coerced, and if you give in to the resentment and opposition. And so I also think this lesson is so beautifully designed that as we're reading the lesson, we have to utilize the lesson in being able to practice this very direct, effortful, intentional, planned process to continue. And so, Baby Larsen, I'd love for you to share.
I like this shift of energy that the Course introduces here. I am determined to see, you know, because we have this experience and we're getting this sense that, wow, we're so snowed in with our thoughts and these images that we're creating, and they're so prevalent, they're just always forcing themselves upon us, not only internally but externally with the news and gossip from other people, whatever that is that, how am I ever going to dig out of this? Well, it's possible because we set this powerful intention. I am determined to see. And it really hits home this, you know, taking on this determination, taking on this powerful intention, and knowing that that is what's required to push through this really, you know, heaviness of thought, heaviness that these images have on us. When what it's going to take to get through that is having, you know, that powerful of a determination. What comes to mind is this. I think it's a Buddhist saying. You know, you have to, you know, yearn for enlightenment or strive for enlightenment as if you're a man whose hair is on fire and you're running to the pond, you're running to the lake. You have to, like, that's a determined person. He's going to jump over logs and push through grizzly bears and, like, run through, you know, thorn bushes because he's going to get to that lake, you know, and the lake is real. Salvation is real, you know, being less entangled in our thoughts and more free to experience love and peace is real, but you have to be determined to push through that like a man whose hair is on fire running to that lake, and that's what it takes to get there. And so the Course is laying out very clearly, you know, this is how we need to embrace this journey, is to embrace with that type of determination.
So I love this. I love that you have this determination, hair on fire, making it to the lake, sort of being ready for anything and everything as being part of the lesson. And I also see the lesson continues and says, this is our first attempt to introduce structure. Do not misconstrue it as an effort to exert force or pressure. When that person's hair is on fire and that warrior is running towards that water, they want to be saved. They want salvation. And the Course says, you want salvation. You want to be happy. You want peace. And you do not have them now because your mind is totally undisciplined. And you cannot distinguish between joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, love and fear. You are now learning how to tell them apart, and great indeed will be your reward. And I think it becomes important to really define salvation here. And salvation being saved from all that would hurt and limit us. So when you're reading this lesson, just to go back, being saved from all that would hurt and limit us, when I take that your decision to see is all that vision requires, when I see that statement, God has one Son, and He is the resurrection and the life, and I say, wow, normally when I read something like that, it hurts a little bit based on the languaging. At some level, I exclude myself from being connected or being able to experience that. And so I lose salvation. And if I believe this text to be a tool that's really inviting me to start constructing new ways of seeing, it is going to hurt a little bit. It is going to take discipline and me to look at that hurt with new eyes and say, wow, hurt is really what limits me from being saved and limits me from being able to be happy, to have peace, to really understand every time I feel hurt, I am not able to distinguish between joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, love or fear, because I do not have the correct structure. And that correct structure, or the useful structure, comes in when your decision to see is all that vision requires. And so that determination to see is all that vision requires. And I sit with whatever it is, and whatever thought, whatever image, until I find the purposefulness of it. And so being saved from the experience of separation from God, from guilt, and from all the human ills that come from separation and guilt. So if I can find purposefulness in what's being shared or what is perceived at hurt, I bring myself one step closer to salvation and closer to happy peace and joy and distinguishing it out. So a thought that one introduced by Greg Roach, that thought of God has one son, if I become determined to allow that to become a joyous thought, I change the word one son into one possibility. God has one possibility, and that possibility is the resurrection and the life. And that allows for me to see how that's so true here. Anything that has a seed of God in it can be resurrected, can be guilt-free, can be and expand and have love and life. And so, Greg Roach, I'd love for you to give us a couple closing statements on I Am Determined to See, Lesson 20.
Well, I think that just the sentence says it all. I am determined to see, and as it says, the result of that is going to be deliverance from suffering, because when you are determined to see, the end result, the inevitable end result, would be moving into the space of truth. The space of truth is that there is no separation, there is no guilt, and when you're in that space of truth, all suffering dissolves.
Beautiful. And baby Larsen.
That's beautiful, because that is the result. And but it says here, we're most likely where you're at today is you are with this totally undisciplined mind, and so because that is most likely the starting point, that determination is what's going to, ultimately, lead to that result. If you're determined and you're committed, achieving that, in a sense, achieving that that end result, that salvation, and that the being more and more in those states of peacefulness and love and happiness will be yours. But because this totally undisciplined mind can be so unruly, it can be frustrating, and giving up can be, the course also. So just, be mindful that really setting out to have determined, movement forward, to being determined to see through all this, and really embracing that level of determination is going to be greatly assisting you on this journey.
Awesome. This is so lovely. And so thank you all for joining us for Lesson 20 in A Course in Miracles. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.